Revolutionary greetings to all and sundry. My people of the southern Cameroons, my people of Ambazonia, accept revolutionary greetings from me, John Ba Akuro, this day. Today is November 9, 2021. I come here today, my people, for us to examine some salient and important issues concerning our movement, concerning our quest for freedom. Today, I'm going to talk on a series of issues, but all of this are geared to attain one objective, to make us recognize that opportunity is right ahead of us, to make us recognize that if there's ever been any time where we have to mobilize all and sundry to be on board, it is now. That if there's ever been any time that you really need to forget about your haters, they really need to forget about the grievances you have against this movement, they really have to forget about the need for you to stay in the background and not do anything. This is the time for you to come to the fold because we need all of us on board at this specific point in time so that we as a people will be able to to cross, cross to where we are heading to. My people, we are very close, quite close. Some will say you have been saying this over and over. Listen, saying we are very close in this kind of circumstances doesn't mean I'm saying we're getting there tomorrow. It's simply saying in the next 1, 2, or maximum 3 years, the opportunity we have been waiting for throughout will manifest itself. What will matter is how ready we are to take advantage of this opportunity. At this particular point in time, we appear to be wasting time screaming about negotiations, screaming about mediation, screaming about Swiss up, Swiss down, Swiss left. My people, we have been screaming like that since 2019. This is 2021. We haven't gotten anywhere. I like to say here, and this is something I told Comrade Abdul Karim and Comrade PK and all those who watched the show we had on SCBC last Sunday. I made clear that right now, the issue of the day will not be determined by how loud we scream about negotiations, how loud we scream about going for mediated talks without preconditions. No, that is not what will determine the order of the day. The order of the day today will be determined by just how much we make the cost of occupation expensive for La République du Cameroun and France. My people, mark my words, how much we render the cost of occupation expensive, ever more expensive to La République du Cameroun on our territory. When we do that, when we are able to make La République du Cameroun find it difficult, why not impossible, to even operate on our territory, La République du Cameroun will be the one singing the chorus of negotiations, singing the chorus of peace talks, not us. My people, I said it and I repeat here, we are not fatigued. No, I heard someone that they call Mwen on the other side. They call him Mwen. Mwen is an acronym that they have given him. This is Matthias Eric Owonangine. He said they are prepared to torture us for 50 years. But my people, I want to make clear, we can reduce their pains to less than 5 years if we simply understand that that is the only thing that is important to do now. This is not the time for us to be doing governance. No, this is not the time to be doing governance. Now is the time for us to focus on liberation. This is the time to focus on liberation. And it is only liberation that will cause us to get to that place where we can begin doing governance. By the time we attain that liberation, by the time we obtain liberation, by the time we free our territory, we are good enough to do governance. For now, our focus should be on that liberation. I followed an audio, just part of it. I didn't really get right to the end. Someone sent to me, I was like, Mr. Akuro, you just need to respond to this. How can someone come and be saying things about the Toronto stuff and the fact that some movements or groups and all whatnot don't even exist anymore. They have one person respond to it, and I say the only response I will give to it, to those kind of misguided statements, is making sure that I continue to coalesce with those who are willing and understand that the focus of our attention should be on the ground. The focus of our attention should be making sure that La République du Cameroun becomes that power that is going to look for the mediation and call us to the table. Yes, my people, that is the only way non-state actors succeed in dragging state actors to the table. You don't drag them to the table by making noise, by singing mediation, this and that. No, we will not succeed in doing it that way. We have to get into the trenches. Fold your sleeves. We must fold our sleeves, all of us, and do the hard work. If you told yourself that I've decided to go and rest, just don't worry. This discussion will unfold to you the moral bankruptcy of that construct called Cameroon that we erroneously found ourselves within. And so don't wonder too often why within our midst we still have people who are so morally bankrupt that the only capital they have in this movement is attacking one person or the other, building conspiracy theories and left and right. No, don't get surprised. So you must recognize, we all must recognize that we are up against not just La République du Cameroun itself, but against some of the habits and attitudes that we have inherited from that construct all this while. And we must, as a people, fight to overcome this on our way to that freedom. And lest I forget, because each time I complete my broadcast, I listen. I get a lot of calls from a lot of quarters. And I'm going to do a special program on Thursday, a special broadcast on Thursday, where I would like us to actually look into this whole issue, this whole concept of, is it federalism, unionism, and how we should operate with such people, because it's very important. I've been listening to a lot of our people, to a lot of the intelligentsia of the southern Cameroons. Remind me how I need to remind us all about how we have to prosecute this phase of the struggle. In as much as we know we need the firepower, we also need our brains, intelligence. When I get to it on Thursday, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. However, let's get into this show. Look, I want to talk about this incident that occurred in Boya. And you see it on the Guardian Post newspaper. It says, explosive device kills driver, shatters taxi in Boya. While I looked at this and there was a lot of talk going on about it, I read a post by the news outfit CNA, which reported that there's a certain group that claims to belong to Ambazonia. Perhaps it actually belongs to the Ambazonia fighting groups. I can't claim to know everyone. That they claimed responsibility for that act. But wait a minute. This is the second such incident in Boya. And how did it happen? This is an explosive device that boom in a car. And the first one, the driver was seriously wounded, and at least he is surviving. The second one, this driver wasn't that lucky. And when I read what was written on CNA, the group that appears to be claiming responsibility and says they are fighting for the freedom of the southern Cameroons says that one of them pretended to be a passenger and so stopped the taxi and dropped the bag containing the device inside before going away to detonate it. My people, listen. Listen carefully to what I have to say here. After this incident occurred, while there was so much noise, so much brouhaha about it, I received a call from someone within the army of La République du Cameroun. One of ours, and he made these remarks and asked me to communicate this to the people of the southern Cameroons and draw the attention of our people who claim responsibility for acts they did not commit simply because they want to come across as working, or they want to justify money that they got from one source or the other. Don't take offense that I'm saying this. I'm not trying to attack anybody, but please, I'm pointing out an issue. Because this person, this source, tells me in very triumphant terms that that act is an act carried out by Mr. Paul Biya's thugs in Boya, and they are planning to multiply such acts on civilian targets. My people, recall the voices in the bushes, the amber voices, to quote Atanga Ponji, in the bushes, don't target civilians. No, they don't. No. I want to prove this. Listen, you see, on the road between Bamenda and Batibo these days, what do Mr. Paul Biya's thugs do? They make sure they carry bike riders, divert the directions of a lot of drivers with private cars, and force them to drive along them to escort them from Bamenda to Widikum. And the thugs drive in the middle, while these bike riders drive by the side and the other private cars drive in front and behind. What's of the objective? Using our people as human shields. This is a serious violation of international humanitarian law. I mean, a serious violation. It is the talks of Mr. Paul Biya doing that. But while they do that, what have our voices done? They make sure that they don't react or they don't take any action when they see this. Why? Because they are protective of our brothers and sisters. That is their objective. So they cannot and they have never put any such thing in any civilian target. No, they've never targeted any civilian. So La République du Cameroun, don't forget, they continue in the anxiety to make the international community give us a label that they have been wanting to tag on us from time immemorial. Remember, when they got students out of the Presbyterian school in Bamenda, over 80 of them, they claimed that they were Amber boys until it was proven that they were not. The same objective. They even had their relays that even pretended already to claim responsibility. But at the end, it became clear they did it. It's the same thing they did in Gabu. When they did it, they claimed that they were our boys. At the end of the day, investigations, even conducted just by themselves, revealed it was not true. They have done these things over and over and over. They don't stop. They will continue to do it because La République du Cameroun, where we are talking now, they are rather beginning to suffer from fatigue. They are beginning to suffer from the depletion of resources. I said here the last time that sources at the treasury of La République du Cameroun have made clear to me that at least 95% of their public investment projects have been halted because they don't have money. Listen, they can pretend that they can do anything right now, but all that they bother about is about paying salaries of civil servants for now. With the money they scrap from left and right, take loans even from the banks and the likes. That is all they can do. So they believe that their only salvation today lies in being able to turn the world against us. They need a coalition against us. By themselves, they know that it is not working. Remember, La République du Cameroun brought Nigeria in to assist them. And they made a lot of boos about it, about a treaty, about agreements of signing with Nigeria, about this and that, and the weeks ahead we're going to. But before long, they themselves have come right back complaining that Nigeria appears to have played them, a kind of double deal. Look, my people, let us be smart. Let us be sharp. Let us always avoid wanting to claim responsibility for acts we don't know simply because you want to come across as working. Let me prove again to you that these boys will not do those things. You saw what happened in Kumba. They stopped the bus with passengers inside, a lot of people. What did they do to them? They simply got them out, told them, you are violating our ghost towns. You will sing the revolutionary songs. They caused them to sing the songs. They moved around with them. They jogged around with them. And I even see that somewhere along the line, they even gave the impression that they were flogging them. But my people, all they were doing was trying to deter them. They gave a deterrence. None of them has reported being hurt. That is what those boys do. They don't target civilians. So that act in Boya, be careful. And like I say, when they say ghost towns, respect it. Don't become a victim of La République du Cameroun, because they will do that not because they feel that it's the right thing to do, because number one, they don't care about our lives, because number two, they need that to justify a certain discourse, a certain tag they're trying to put on our names. That act, those two acts already in Boya, no. We're not our boys. Take careful notice and let's mind our communication. I want to leave off that subject matter and come to this one. I know I've spoken a lot about Achille Mvogo, enormously. Achille Mvogo has been laid to rest. Achille Mvogo has been laid to rest. He has been buried. But what is interesting is not just the fact that he was laid to rest with military honors. No, I've spoken about that before. Of course, we know what has been said and everything and all whatnot. What is interesting are the messages that are the comments that follow this message that was posted by this by the owner of this Facebook profile called Lejam Lekme. What is on your screen is not even what is very interesting, but I just place it so that you see that those are the remains of Achille Mvogo, and you can see the green, red, yellow flag, of course, is receiving his military honors. But the interesting thing is this message. Take a look at this. You see, this gentleman called Stanislas Theophile Awonai, in commenting to that message, where a lot of saying, triste, repose en paix. Seigneur, reçois le haut. But this one comes up, Stanislas says, si les anglophones pouvaient éviter la léquier, parce que mon cœur saigne quand je les vois chez nous en toute liberté. Does that say anything to anybody? I have on this platform urged our brethren, taken the cue from Chief John Gute in Bamenda, urged our brethren who are in the hinterlands of La République du Cameroun, judging from what happened to our brother in the south, to what happened to our brothers in Yaoundé itself, in Obeli. I've said, if you find yourself, you're a Southern Cameroonian, or you have a relative, Southern Cameroonian, who is in any of those remote localities in La République du Cameroun, please ask them to begin to leave. Ask them to begin to leave. Don't take these statements for granted. I've said it several times that when they show us who they are, we should believe them the first time. When they tell us who they are, let us believe them. Be very careful. And you read another comment down here. L'enfant des gens qu'on a tabassé comme un serpent devant ses collègues qui regardaient comme si c'était le cinéma, alors que le gars ne faisait que son boulot. Alors que le gars ne faisait que son boulot. That this is somebody's child. Trashed like a serpent in the presence of his colleagues who were watching as if it was a movie. Whereas the gentleman was only doing his job. So bringing down Bebe Carol Luis for no good reason in the world was definitely just doing his job. This is the mentality. And when you know this, you have to be careful. This is the mentality. When you see these writings, you have to be careful. My people, my name is John. I say it all the time, that my name is John. I say John the Baptist, the voice of someone screaming, shouting in the wilderness. Let me continue to scream in the wilderness. The few who hear and understand, they will take the action. Those who continue to be headstrong, don't say you were not informed. Don't say you were not aware. That is why I keep drumming it. That's why each time I see these things, I bring them on this platform to share so that we are able to take the time to sensitize our brethren to the effect that it is no longer safe to be where they are. Take serious note of it. I've talked about the degree of moral decadence in La République du Cameroun. Our lives don't matter. The lives of Southern Cameroonians don't matter. Everyone knows it, including Brenda Biya. I'm sure everybody has been, oh my God. I'm going to play her video here, not because you have not watched it, but simply because I want you to hear her. And I want you to end up going back. I will not display the messages here because you've read them all over the place. That Brenda Biya, the first daughter of La République du Cameroun, the daughter of the head of state, the only girl he has, says that her parents are treating her like any ordinary Cameroonian, like an Anglophone. Listen, it is not just the fact that she said like an Anglophone. Let's watch this video first and I'll come back to it.
Non, 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 je veux pas. Moi, j'ai peur. De quoi? Je suis traumatisée par tout ça, ce spectacle que vous voulez monter. Pourquoi ne pas juste me laisser? Si je meurs, je suis de votre famille. On est frères et sœurs. Vous êtes en train de vous faire des parano maintenant. Okay? On peut aller discuter à l'unité, les internistes sont inquiets. Je peux juste vous demander depuis quand je suis obligée de me soigner? Et que, est-ce que ce n'est pas écrit sur leur site que j'ai le droit de signer une décharge? Mais monsieur, est-ce que je suis obligée de me soigner? Vous allez me taper dessus maintenant? Parce que vous êtes en train d'entrer chez moi. Parce que vous avez mon père et ma mère au téléphone qui vous ont dit de me laisser me soigner ici. Oui, mais monsieur, je suis majeur et j'ai des droits. C'est pas parce que mon père il est président que j'ai plus de droits. Man, they're saying that I have to go to a hospital. But even if I don't want to go to a hospital against my will, they're barging into my room, forcing me to go to a hospital. I asked to sign a discharge. They won't let me discharge me. Y'all are gonna see the cops here. Y'all are gonna see me in some coucounet. I don't care. Allons-y, allons-y. Vas-y, on part. Mais non, vraiment.
Vous venez avec toi? Bon, ok, fantastique.
J'ai le choix? J'ai le choix?
Non, vous n'avez pas le choix.
Ah, j'ai pas le choix?
Non, 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 vous n'avez pas le choix, vous êtes en danger.
Ah, je suis en danger.
Donc, oui.
Et je suis obligée.
Oui, pour avoir des soins pour votre
Qu'est-ce
cœur.
que Dieu?
On peut y aller? Là, ils attendent. On y va comme ça?
Appelle l'ambassade, quelle ambassade quand même ils sont dedans? Tout un pays parce que le président les a dans leur poche.
What we're watching here is not a movie. I know you say some have said I should stop laughing. Sometimes I can't help laughing because some of these things are laughable. This is not a movie. This is the first daughter of a country. The daughter of someone who has been in power for 39 years. If this were a civilized country, La République du Cameroun, people would already be on the streets asking Mr. Paul Biya to resign. Why? Because he has demonstrated beyond reasonable doubts that he can't even manage his own home. Please don't get me wrong. Children can sometimes be very difficult to bring up, but you have to make an effort to be there. Mr. Paul Biya, for 39 years, everybody has known there's an absentee president. So he was not just absent from Cameroonians, he was absent even from his family, even from his daughter, from the only daughter he has. That's the only girl he has. I think he has about 3 or so children. But of this, one girl. But he was absent from her life. She says it. I am not fabricating it. She made clear that he has never been there, including her mother. They've never been there for her. Mr. Paul Biya has never been there for the people of La République du Cameroun who took us into some unholy union and brought us untold misery and suffering. We have been in that mess with Paul Biya for 39 years. After we have been in this shit with Ahijo for about 21 years. My people, I bring this up because when Brenda Biya says that Paul Biya and his wife Chantal are treating her like any ordinary Cameroonian, like an Anglophone, it is not just a statement. Some people say, oh, that means she even knows. No, It is a result of the things that are said in the presidential palace about the people of the Southern Cameroons. Brenda is not talking from the blues. She's really not mad. She's not talking from the blues. It is because of the kind of words that are used at the presidency of La République du Cameroun about the people of the Southern Cameroons. If you are a Southern Cameroonian and you saw those messages, you've listened to Brenda, and you still think that La République du Cameroun values you, then something is definitely wrong with you. If after listening to Brenda and reading what she wrote, you still think that we should have any form of association with La République du Cameroun, something is wrong with you. Because when it gets right down to that point, where a child would compare her maltreatment to the kind of treatment meted to an entire people. Listen to what I'm saying. I'm using the word people because we are a people under international law. The state of the Southern Cameroons. To imagine that it's about us like this, that the daughter of Mr. Paul Biya is referring to in those terms, in those derogatory terms. My people, if you were thinking of withdrawing from this struggle because you say it has been transformed into a bully and insultive pulpit, you can't stand it, come in. Better you take these insults and fight for your freedom and get it. I've been receiving these insults, all forms of attacks, all kinds of things. Oh, yes, I've been receiving them, but I have time to talk about that. But my people, why I stay on is because I am not in this movement for anybody. I am not in this movement to please anybody. It's because I don't have a country anymore and I need my country back. I need back that place I'll refer to as my country. That's why I'm here. I'm not in this movement because of somebody, no. So there is nobody in this movement that can cause me to feel like retracting. I wish you share the same sentiment. I wish you share the same feeling. I wish you share the same understanding. And tell yourself, I cannot stop supporting this movement because somebody insulted me, because I'm not in agreement with this or that person. Nobody. Forget about those who want to claim, to give the impression that they own this movement. Nobody owns this movement. And remember, too often, Sisiku Julius Ayuk Tabe, who pronounced the restoration of our independence, who pronounced our independence restored on the 1st of October 2017, always said, nobody is bigger than this movement. And I know a good lot of us in the front lines have always said so. Nobody is bigger than this movement. Just listen to that. How much ridicule do we expect more as a people before we recognize that we have to put our all in? I met someone who told me, John, I was so devoted to the struggle. I was so devoted to this movement. I was so determined. I was contributing a lot. But they want to kidnap my father. And from that day, I don't want to hear about it. If I ever know where they are, I would direct people to go and get them. And I asked him, do you know how much pains a lot of other people have been going through? Yet, they are unrepentantly committed to the struggle. Do you know? Do you have an idea? And I told him, you know what? You were able to use some money to get him out. But there are others who are not even lucky, even with money, to get their own loved ones out. Because when we're in a chaotic situation like this one, you don't know who takes advantage. There are people now in this movement settling their personal scores. It has got nothing to do with our liberation movement. Don't tag it to it. They will hurt us, do everything, hurt us because they want us to hate our own freedom. I have refused to hate my freedom. Look, my people, myself talking here, I lost enormously. I found myself in Nigeria living in very unacceptable conditions. Found myself in my early years in the United States of America, living in very difficult conditions, traversing very difficult moments until I was able to get back again to my feet. All that because of the quest for this freedom. I didn't get discouraged. I didn't get discouraged. So don't get discouraged. We have to fight on. And I told him, just as you are saying this, I remember there's a teacher who was taken. Really, these were not by strange people. No, they were actually by Amber boys. He said they took him to Bafoot. And when he got there, they kept him, they fed him, they warm water in the morning and gave him to take his bath and all whatnot. But they were waiting for money. And they had asked for 3 million. And when the money was given, the 3 million was given, they brought the money and they showed him. And they said, look, this is what we want to do with the money. He saw the things that they ordered, and they brought those things, and they paid with that money, and they were left with less than 10,000 CFA on them. And they told him, this is the only way we do once in a while to manage to take this movement forward. Because a lot of our people in the diaspora collect money and don't send to us. But if we don't fight, we will die. And this gentleman, I will hold his name, when he came away from there to his people, and his people were mad, he told his people, don't be mad. If you were there and saw what I saw what these boys eat, saw the kind of conditions in which they live, saw how they battle by all means to get the things that they get to fight for this freedom we all want, you will even have given them more than what you gave. And he made me to understand that with time, he went around family and friends again and raised money and took back to those boys before he finally left the country. Because when he was with them, he saw the passion to free the homeland, but no means. And when he spoke to me, the tears were running down his cheeks. He asked, why is it that money enters only in the hands of those who don't have the heart, mind, and conscience to want to help a general cause? But those who are really determined, bent, they don't have the grace to collect that money. And I told him, such is life. Because I remember what PLO Lumumba always says, that those who have the ideas don't get elected. But those who have no idea what they want to do are those who get elected. Such is society. But that will not discourage us. We have to continue fighting. The degree of moral decadence in La République du Cameroun is such that it's affecting us. It has affected our fabrics. That is why it is easy for us to tell lies, easy for us to know the truth and say the contrary, easy for us to manipulate, easy for us to turn things the way we want simply because we want to attain personal, not general objective. Because you cannot use lies to prosecute a just cause. It's not possible. It doesn't work. Of course, I was delighted last Sunday when I was having this debate or this discussion with Comrade Abdul Karim. And he said on camera that no, I know that the retreat in Toronto was not sponsored by La République du Cameroun. It's on record. The video is on social media and you can watch that. But we got people under his chapel, all of them chant, this is. But my people, I say it and I have told all those with whom were involved in this retreat. Please, let's not pay attention to that. We must forgive even before they come asking for that forgiveness. We may not even need that request for the forgiveness, because the need to work together to attain our objective is urgent and more important than those insults that they heaped on us, because they don't mean a thing. We have to stay glued to the objective. We have to focus on it. Because look at this. No sane country in the world will keep a president whose daughter says outrightly how her parents don't know parenting. If you can't manage your house, can you manage a community? And as if that is not enough, some of ours, it just reminded me what some of ours say about that same man that Brenda Biya is describing. Let's ask Ashunyenti if he thinks that what Brenda Biya is saying about her father is true. Listen.
I tell you what, President Paul Biya is a blessing to this country. Cameroonians, we are lucky. We are made because we have Paul Biya, the helm of the statecraft. This president is our greatest marksman. He is our principal goal scorer. He has always taken us out of very difficult situations First, because of his immense wisdom. Second, because of his aura and international clout. I tell you what, President Paul Biya.
Oh my goodness. Please permit me to laugh here. I'm sure you are laughing yourself, so you won't chide me for laughing at this point. Just listen to that. This is a parallel. We just hear Brenda Biya talk about her father, her own father, with whom she has lived for 21 years. And the next minute, you have a journalist, and regrettably from Southern Cameroon, saying the kind of things you just heard. This is exactly what we are fighting against. Moral bankruptcy. We need a society that has and upholds values. That is why, my people of the Southern Cameroons, we must continue to uphold and defend our independence. I say we must continue to uphold and defend our independence. We don't get independence twice. It was declared already restored on October 1, 2017. So right now what we are doing is defending and upholding it to make sure we get the occupier out of our land and then enjoy our land, where we will be able to bring our children up with good morals, where they will not come out as morally bankrupt as we are seeing, holding PhDs and all whatnot, and then telling people this kind of things that we just heard the gentleman say. That isn't all. Look here. While we are still wondering what planet Niente is from, we hear some other people. Should I say buffoons? No, I don't want to call them names. That's how some people call them, but not me. They call themselves Northwest CPDM. Look at the choice of words. Northwest CPDM begs Biya to run for 2025 presidential election again. Biya himself has not been seen outside on his 39th anniversary. He was nowhere. While they were expecting him in Fumban after the passing of Sultan Njoya, it is the son that showed up there in preparation for the dynasty. Biya was nowhere. But Northwest CPDM begs Biya. They are following up on the Lekie, CPDM Lekie in the center that said they were already launching campaigns for Paul Biya's election in 2025. That is not the kind of country that I want to belong to. That is not the kind of country I want to have anything to do with. No, 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 no. That's not the kind of country I want to have anything at all to do with. No, not me. My people, that is the reason we are involved in this movement, to uphold and defend our independence. Because these values, they are not the kind of values that we share. Let me take you now back to the same, whether it's 38 years. I think Honorable Thibaut Nagy made a mistake there when he said 38 years. It's actually 39. He said, so Cameroon's President Biya marks his 38th year in power today. Hope I'm still around when history closely examines the 1992 elections. I was there, and the NDI report still makes for interesting reading. Now look, it is not just what he said. When he says, I was there, you all understand what this means. This tweet is not just about Paul Biya and a word. No. Honorable Thibaut Nagy here is referring to the 1992 presidential elections won by Mr. John Frundi. And the United States of America, the ambassador at the time, was Miss Frances Cook. And I still recall, at that time, I was only in Upper Sif, in high school, in Upper Sif, 1992, October. When these results were declared by the Supreme Court, Mrs. Frances Cook, ambassador of the United States of America to Cameroon, she had dark glasses on. When they say, est donc déclaré élu, le candidat Paul Biya, she shook her head in denial. She shook her head to say, this is not true. Because the U.S. Embassy on its website in 1992 actually published the real results which showed Mr. Frundi as winner. This is what Mr. Thibaut Nagy is talking about, because then he was a diplomat in Yaoundé, Cameroon. So he knows what the people of the Southern Cameroons have faced in the hands of La République du Cameroun and France. Because obviously, at that time, The French president of the time, Mitterrand, said nada, never. A Southern Cameroonian referred to un anglophone à la tête du Cameroun, never. So make no mistake, my people. I bring this not because I think you haven't seen this tweet, but because sometimes we see the tweets, but we don't recall the story behind these tweets, what it is intended to portray, transmit as message. Because the carnage of the people of the Southern Cameroons was accentuated in 1992. Has anyone forgotten how the compound of Mr. Frundi was surrounded by troops and Bamenda was under a state of emergency for a long period? And how a lot of people paid with their lives. People were tortured, maimed, and everything in Bamenda. Simply because a Southern Cameroonian won a presidential election and had to be denied. Not because they felt that he wasn't qualified to be president, but simply because he was Southern Cameroonian. Don't ever forget this. Always remember it. Because each time you remember it, it should remind you why we are in this movement. It should remind you why we have to defend, why we have to uphold and defend the independence of the Southern Cameroons. Listen, my people. I will say something after we get to his next tweet. Because when Honorable Tibonagi tweeted this, you have some man who calls himself Dr. Chinson. He comes and says, referring to Paul Biya, he was elected by the Cameroon people. Mr. Secretary, with due respect, it seems as if you are interested in seeing Cameroon at war. Your tweet is not intended for good about the nation of Cameroon. Please leave Cameroon to be healed. Really, to be healed. Leave Cameroon to be healed. But you see, the beauty of the whole thing is that Honorable Tibonagi does not back down because he knows the truth. And this is the beauty of truth. When you know it, you speak it with confidence. When you know it, you speak with authority. When you know it, you don't chicken before, should I call, buffoons who come out to try to gesticulate because they think that by saying that they will pass across as people who are protective of the so-called integrity of Cameroon and then get political appointments. That is why Honorable Tibonagi comes back to the charge. He says, with all due respect, current conflict caused by Cameroon government's mistreatment of its Anglophone population, not those who point out injustices. You get that? He makes clear. And he says, Canadian Francophones didn't tolerate second-class status. Why should Anglophone Cameroonians? Isn't 38 years enough? Please listen. Listen. If you thought that we have been fabricating, that we, the people of the Southern Cameroons, are treated as second-class citizens, I think it's even third class, this is a diplomat who spent time in Cameroon. Spent time in Cameroon. He's not talking from the blues. He lived it. He saw it. He has said it a couple of times even while he was still in office. That I have been to those areas. I worked in those areas. I know the sufferings of those people. But this is an American diplomat talking about this. An American statesman talking about this. You will find some buffoons. Sorry for using that word, my dear brothers and sisters. I don't intend to insult, but sometimes, these words, they just come like that. Pardon me. But I don't think I should have respect for some of these people who will come and claim the Southern Cameroon and come and sit and say there is no problem for Southern Cameroonians within La République du Cameroun. I watched them. I sat on the panels at CSTV Press Hour with some of them. At some point, I gainsaid some of them who were shocked. I said, but we are friends. And I said, but when it comes to protecting the interest of the people of the Southern Cameroons, friendship ends there. My people, this is a U.S. diplomat saying it as it is. This message is not only to Southern Cameroon, it is to France as well. Because France is very protective of the interests of the Quebecois in Canada. They can't accept to be treated like second-class citizens. Canada has been governed by a prime minister who is from Quebec. But when it comes to Cameroon, no, Mitterrand said, un anglophone à tête cap, jamais, jamais, jamais. This is exactly what Honorable Tibonagi is talking about. He is reminding us, the people of the southern Cameroons, don't settle for less than you deserve, because you will end up with less than you settled for. You can call this as my second name. I will say it and say it and say it and say it until I can say it no more. Until it sinks down that you learn that you should never settle for less than you deserve, because you will end up with less than you settled for. My people, if that statement means something to you, with holy anger, determined to come back full force to support this movement if you had stopped, determined to reverse that decision you are about to take, that someone has annoyed you, someone has angered you, and you are getting out of this movement. You are not in here for anybody. You are in here for yourself and for the flag of the southern Cameroons. This is what this whole movement is all about. And now, I'd like us to learn a few lessons. Listen, I have determined right from day one that all I would do in this movement is put the facts as they are. I did that when I worked for La République du Cameroun at CRTV. There will be a moment I will play some of the clips of what I did there in that Lion's Den, to let you understand that I have never changed. I've just been me, the way I've been. If it is not going, I will say it's not going, because there's no point sugarcoating. We need to say it as it is. 3 years ago, in 2019, I said, this adventure we are jumping in with Switzerland is not taking us anywhere. I said our focus should be on making sure we ramp up pressure on La République du Cameroun. 3 years gone down the road, all they could come and tell us in Toronto is that they're facilitators and not mediators. Take your phone or go onto your computer, Google, find out the difference between a facilitator and a mediator. And then you check the extent of the powers of each one. I will have the opportunity to bring experts on the Saturday program who explain this difference, so you understand why in Toronto, the Southern Cameroon's intelligentsia gathered had to tell the representative of the Swiss Ministry of Foreign Affairs exactly as it is, had to tell him what this whole thing is all about. Because from that perspective of being facilitators and not mediators, that is why they could address us as being opposition to the government of Mr. Paul Biya. Find out the difference between those two roles, and you understand what we're talking about. My people, this is the third millennium. We are the never again generation. We will not blink. Our eyes must remain open. This is not that moment where we say, okay, no, because they have said is this, because this one has said that, because he said it. No. I said it, and I'm repeating. The people of the Southern Cameroons are not seeking to switch colonizer. We are seeking to uphold and defend our independence. That's why when I heard some people say the British diplomat bullied them, told them to their faces that, oh, really? And trust me, we told the British diplomat, it's on record. When they will be declassified, you will watch. We told him we are not seeking to change colonizer. We told him the British are responsible for where we are today. We told him why this is going on. Yes, we will not discount Britain. We will need them. We will not discount anybody on the international scene. But it is fair also to say what the British are doing currently is unfair. Signing contracts, signing deals with La République du Cameroun on resources located in the southern Cameroons at the time they are slaughtering us like pigs. Is that fair? No. We didn't chicken in because we told him right there. We are not seeking to switch colonizer. My people, La République du Cameroun is not independent. It is not. Know this from today. Because I hear some people say that they want La République to give us. Give us what? We are not going to be negotiating our independence with La République du Cameroun. No. We are going to be taking our independence because it was declared. We are just going to be upholding and defending it. We are not going to negotiate with La République du Cameroun for our independence. No. My people, as the days change, we have to keep getting a clear understanding of these things. I heard someone said I was unleashed. Oh, yes, I am. I'd like us to take a little moment and listen to this gentle comment by Honorable Weber Joseph, with whom I had the pleasure of exchanging extensively today, who has been severally insulted because people hate the truth. They hate to hear it. Listen to some of that hateful truth, but I can't help but share it.
That have worked for other countries perfectly. You take the revolution to the people. They organize themselves from the smallest villages to the largest cities. They start by forming revolutionary committees for liberation. And when you get that to every village level, and then from the village level to every council area, and then from every council area to the county level, you can actually now build structures all the way through to the national level. People who can sit down and plan and, see where their revolution is going and give advice to the various people who are, supporting the revolution. So that's exactly the kind of thing that can take us forward. And unfortunately for us, the diaspora didn't understand this. They mistook it for something that you could create some structure up there and it gives instructions to people and then they run around and do the business. It is not like that. Revolutions are a hard, tough business. It is meant for those who can lay literally their lives to free their people. It is meant for those who have the energy and the will to sustain a long fight. There are no quick fixes in a revolution. There are no shortcuts in a revolution. The hard way is the only way. That's why I've been...
That is Honorable Weber saying it as it is, saying exactly what he thinks. I know some would differ with the terminology used in terms of revolution. Sometimes I don't bother so much about that because we all know that ours is actually a liberation movement. We can call it revolution, we can call it anything, but we know what we're involved in. We're involved in a liberation movement. We're involved in that kind of movement, which requires that it is less of us and more of the bigger picture. Less of us and more of the objective. Less of us and more of that country we're fighting for. That is why he says it is meant for people who understand that you will sacrifice everything you can, even lay down your life for it. It is not meant for people who feel that you should even live on it. You cannot live on a liberation movement. No. You sacrifice for the liberation movement. The moment you start living on or only you're living from that liberation movement, something is not right somewhere. My people, we must be courageous enough to put our heads together and address the few ills that are still plaguing our liberation movement. Yes, I strongly believe that we can do it. But listen, the only way we will make it is ensuring we work together. Listen, my people. Some will say, but what is he talking about? I may point out ills that one person or the other has done. That doesn't mean I reject that person. I may be rejecting. I am simply rejecting the idea, the thought, or the action that a person has taken, but not that person. Because we are condemned to work together. Like I said, And I, in response to Comrade Abdul Karim Ali, who said, I have been invited to the act and I rejected it. And I told him this, and I'm repeating it here, that listen, I don't recall the day that the consortium to which I belong has ever been handed an invitation to participate in any act organized event and we have turned it down. No, we wouldn't turn it down because we are willing to work with everybody to attain our objective. We must not necessarily become members of the act. That doesn't mean we will not work with the act. These are two clear different things. And I said, and I repeat, for some who keep saying you were invited, no. We had never, if any had ever been issued, let it be brandished. Because I am saying it and committing here. Any day, any time, anyhow, anyone fighting for the liberation of the Southern Cameroons invites me or invites the consortium, I can say that authoritatively because the minds of all the members of the consortium, the constituency of the consortium is we must continue to promote synergy. That is our philosophy. And that's why we work with all and sundry. That's why some have given me tax. Oh, you are Ayabacho's boy. Oh, you are Ayuk Tabe's boy. At one point, when I was in the LCLC, when the consortium was in the LCLC and I was sitting there for them, oh, you are now Sako's boy. When we sat down in Comrade Ebenezer Akwanga's house and we had this live show on Facebook, I was sitting on the floor, so he said, see the way he was seated with Sako's hands on his back. Oh, he's Sako's boy. Listen, my brother, I don't care whose boy you say I am. As long as that advances the cause of the freedom of the people of the Southern Cameroons, I will do it. Listen, this working together we need is not by choice, it is a must. If we want to shorten our distance, that is what we have to do. If you are doubting, listen to Miles Monroe, to what he says.
So the world cannot heal itself, but whatever you avoid, you can never change. So you must become the answer to your own prayer. Stop asking God to send someone to heal your country. So the world cannot heal itself, but whatever you avoid, you can never change. So you must become the answer to your own prayer. Stop asking God to send someone to heal your country.
I let Reverend Dr. Miles Monroe to come around twice so you get the message that he's passing out there, that thick message. The world cannot heal itself. And what you avoid, you can never change. You must become the answer to your own problem. There are people in this movement who spend all their time praying to God to take control in this movement. But by their acts, they rip us apart. Some even come out openly and even pray to God that some components of this movement should die or rot in jail. Praying to God for this same thing. No, my people. I brought in Dr. Miles Monroe here to remind us that the world cannot heal itself. And what you avoid, you cannot change. We want our brothers who are still erroneously preaching federalism, preaching the one Cameroon, preaching the unitary state. We want them to know the truth. Some of them don't even know this truth. While some know and deliberately want to, misguide a lot, there are a good chunk that don't know. And they need to be brought that information by every means, because they will know the truth. And finally, that truth will set them free. You cannot, what you avoid, you cannot change. I will not run away from anybody. No. I will face you squarely, body to body, knuckle to knuckle, eyeball to eyeball, and tell you this is where I stand and this is why you need to stand there. Listen, while we pray to God to give us grace in this movement, let us walk. Because prayer without faith in what you are doing is next to no work done. And the work that you should do is open your mouth and say things that unify people. Open your mouth and say things that synergize people. Open your mouth and say things that will make it possible for us to harness our resources. Let us end with President Joe Biden of the United States of America. He says, we cannot fight against ourselves if we have to beat them. Come on. We cannot fight against ourselves if we have to beat them. The only way to beat them is to work together. The only way to beat them is to pool our resources, our energy, our know-how together. The only way to beat them is not to fight against ourselves, is to unify together to fight against them. There could be no word better than that one from President Joe Biden of the United States of America to end this show. My people, the only way we will make it is by the promotion of truth, by the use of our brains, not our emotions. I'll talk about this issue of emotions on Thursday. And it's making sure we stop fighting against ourselves for things that we don't need to fight over. I'm delighted that you found time to sit with me through this communication. Until we meet again on Thursday on this platform, enjoy the rest of your evening.